And welcome to the Brazil Expat Journal. We are back. It's the BJ you can trust. Just when you think we're gone, we're not gone. We're just very busy down here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. But Peter and I are back. What's up, Peter? Is he there?
Hey, hey,
There he is. There's the man. We got a
yeah, I'm
couple
here.
people waiting, Pete. They're really excited to hear this conversation about travel bros. And this may be new to a few people because it is a bit specific to the black community because you even get it by the title, The Travel Bros. So we got Travelmadeic on, whose channel is awesome. I'll link his channel and all that stuff in the comments so you can check him out. I've shown parts of his channel already on the BJ. He's a frequent caller. And he's going to explain a little bit from his perspective what a travel bro is. I'll do my best to explain it from my perspective. And then if Pete, if you know nothing about it, you're going to learn about it tonight. But we would love to hear your perspective too. And anybody out there who wants to join the conversation, I'm going to drop the link. And later on, maybe we can get a couple of you guys on. I will drop the link right in the comments. You click on that, and we'll let you in the studio, and you can add your perspective about traveling around and the difference between healthy traveling and being a travel bro. So there he is. What's up, Adrian? Mr. Travelmatic. How
What's
you doing?
going on? What's going on? I'm flattered, man. I'm flattered. I'm gonna try and do my
Well,
best, man, because you know you called upon me. So
well, I am so happy to have you on as an official guest because you're always a call-in, So we actually got you for the full hour and some change. And there will be an expat challenge. We haven't done it in a while. We got to put all our
ooh,
virgin
man.
guests through the ringer.
Oh
Okay, so we will be
man.
doing the expat challenge, and I'll be interested in hearing your um, hearing what you got to say about that. But guys, real quick, let's get right into it. What is a travel bro? So if you go on Urban Dictionary, we got two definitions here that I thought were pretty funny because they seem to be written by two very different people with very different perspectives. The first one is where it says that it's men who understand that Western women have drunk the Kool-Aid past the point of no return, although, check your grammar there, brother, and got their passports to enjoy happiness and peace with fit, friendly foreign women. Oh, that sounds so nice. And the Lord said, God bless the passport bros, for they have avoided thy wickedest American women and achieved nirvana with feminine foreign women, restoring the natural balance between feminine and masculine and breeding out, leaving in the dust thy wicked Western shemen. Okay, so that's one definition of the passport bro. And the second one, from a totally different perspective, is men whose only means of attracting women is through financial exploitation. This is the only tool in their kit, so they fly to overexploited nations like Brazil, where women have less financial standing, like Brazil, and show off $20 here or there to get women's attention. Unironically, they don't like gold diggers in places like the US, but they're fine giving their money away to women who will do anything for their coins because they need to buy food to feed their families. It's basically international prostitution with less oversight. Trent can't get women in his country. He says their standards are too high. So he became one of those passport bros and flew to Brazil. They got Brazil there in the definition. Um, and why is this? Why are we talking about this? Because just recently, I didn't even know about this guy. Auston Holleman from Texas was a young man. I think he's 20, 21, very young guy, who was here in Brazil, and he was doing his Instagramming, his YouTubing, his Twittering, and everything. A lot of followers, and he would have a lot of Brazilian women on, and just showing how easy it is to get the women, and then they'll kiss you on, if you ask for a kiss, they'll kiss you. Some Brazilian black feminists, specifically, caught wind of this, saw a lot of these videos, and felt it was very exploitative. Um, and it was shining Brazilian women in a bad light, as if they're just these easy women that you can just get for the right amount of money, not even that much. And he got flooded. His Instagram got flooded with complaints. I think they killed his Instagram. I don't think he's on Instagram anymore. I think his Twitter got blocked, and then it got to the point where he was receiving death threats, and he left Brazil. So actually, if you go on with this Fox 29 here, the Isaiah Factor, there's a 15-minute interview with this guy, and where he's explaining his side of things. And it says here, Passport Bros members speak out following allegations of misogyny against Brazilian women. So that's the topic. It's a hot topic. It's kind of crazy. So I got Travelmatic on because, as the name says, he travels a lot, not just to Brazil, and give his perspective as a black man, uh, traveling around in a healthy way and still being able to enjoy the experience. And Adrian, I'm going to call you, I'm going to go back and forth calling you Adrian and
You
Travelmatic.
good? You good?
Like, we can't deny the fact, and I'm sure Pete would definitely agree, that Brazilian women are gorgeous. So you can't deny the fact that, yes, some of what traveling is enjoying yourself. It is hooking up with new people. It is dancing and drinking and everything. But where do you draw the line between the doing it in a toxic way and doing it in a healthy way?
Um, I think you would probably say based. Let me back up. Everybody was saying, "What did Austin do wrong? What did Austin do wrong?" In American standards, he really didn't do nothing wrong. Cause,
Well, putting it on Instagram is wrong.
and I and I say
Like,
this because
if you don't want that
look,
kind of
look,
attention, don't put it on your Instagram.
young.
Oh, I think Peter said, because you're cutting out a little bit. Peter said, I think the issue was that he posted it on Instagram. That's the big issue. By the way, Adrian, I didn't really introduce you so well. Just so people know, Adrian works in IT, but you travel around. Where are you from originally, though?
I was born in South Carolina, born and raised, and I came here to go to college, Clark Atlanta University, and been here ever since. 20 years
Okay,
later.
cool. And how often do you come to Brazil?
Oh man, my first time was 20. Was it no 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
I came right in the 2020, I think it was. Yeah, 2020. I came in the pandemic. So
Oh,
let me
wow.
jump in the deep end during the pandemic.
Nice, nice. All right, cool. So he's a well-traveled guy, guys. And like I said, I'll link his channel here, and it's full of, he's gone everywhere. What are some other
Yeah,
countries you've been
I've
to, like
I've been to
Ecuador,
Cuba, Ecuador, Guatemala, Spain, um, Mexico. Um, what else? Colombia,
Cuba? I see El Salvador.
Jamaica.
I got your Instagram there on the screen. Yeah, Dominican Republic, Cuba, Colombia, Cuba again. So he's been everywhere. So he's a well traveled guy. So we're not just asking just whoever about travel experience. But go ahead. Sorry to cut you off. So you said he didn't do anything wrong by American standards. Go expound on that for us, please.
Because we we can get a little raunchy here sometimes. Um, as in like, and I've been following Austin for a moment now. There's this thing with young kids now, they want to go and do interviews in the mall. They'll go and ask the girl has she ever did a threesome, or if she, and it's kind of like reaction type
hmm
content.
Yes.
So in the U.S., I can't believe he asked her that. You chuckle, you get embarrassed by it or something like that, and you just go about your business. But you can't do the same thing you do in the U.S. in another country. So that's why I try to tell people that haven't gone to Brazil, just um, just got off the airplane 2 months ago from Brazil. Kicked it with our homegirl Rebecca, and
Love you,
Rebecca
Rebecca.
You remember Rebecca from Sao Paulo?
Of course, I said love
Yeah.
you. She's my girl. That's
Oh
my
yeah, yeah,
girl.
yeah. So I had the opportunity to kick it with her and a lot of women, a lot of black women. And I started to see the dynamics from when I was there 2020 to now. Like there's a big movement in women's rights, um, domestic abuse towards women. There's a big
Again,
movement in
domestic abuse towards women.
yeah, domestic abuse towards women, and also with women's rights.
Mm-hmm.
So on the steps of that, you got a gringo coming uh, with exploiting in manipulative ways on film, and so with that, um, I know what the lady said, filming people without their consent is also so there's all that kind of stuff there too. That's Brazilian law. So by Brazilian law and by Brazilian the pressure, the economic, not the economic, but the social pressure right now, you've disrupted a lot of things. So like
Mm-hmm.
when I tell people, I say when I travel, there's not really a lot of difference in other than these three things. There's the language that's a difference, there's the culture, and there's the environment. You have to understand those three things. You have to learn something in Spanish if you go into a lot of Spanish countries. If you go into Portuguese, you have to know a little Portuguese, you know? You have
Mm-hmm.
to know the culture of on Sundays nobody works in Brazil. They at the house. You only have like maybe the store and the pharmacy that may be open, but really there's nobody really working. Their environment. The internet in if I want to work remotely, you have to understand that maybe you want to work in Sao Paulo or Rio because in Salvador the internet is kind of choppy. So you have to understand those things, not just get your passport and travel.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of moving recklessly. And so with the push of YouTube, and there's no oversight over YouTube, sadly, very sadly, because YouTube is so empowering to people. The first thing that you do when you go on to book your trip or want to go and discover a new place to go, where do people go? They go to YouTube. They go to Google, which takes them to YouTube because it's the same company. So you got a young person with a camcorder and an idea of whatever he want to put on camera and say, hey, I'm gonna upload and it's visible to tens and thousands and millions of people in the world. So there's a lot of levels to this, that has brought this to this point, with like the definitions you gave like three definitions. Those are all passport brothers. Like I fall in one of those. Like like the gender war in America is like through the roof right now with the Me Too movement.
Mm-hmm.
With gay rights. You can't say nothing about women or gays. Men feeling slighted. Men feel like they're getting the last, the short end of the stick. And so you can be a little frustrated with being a male in this country, and you may want to, look at your options. So that is somewhat of a they will probably put that in as a passport brother. Then
Mm-hmm.
you have some that's on the little toxic side where they looking to exploit women, marginalized women, women that washing out of buckets. Um, and so it's a sad thing, but I don't know how I can say how not to be other than just responsible. When you put content on YouTube, can your mama see it and without cringing? Can your daughter see it without cringing? Can just an adult, like just an elderly person, see you? Like I can share my video with anybody in the world, my mom, my daughter, my aunt, and not have to worry about one thing. It's some dudes that and then there's some people like I think of Austin's content sometimes, and Austin got a young mother, and I'm like, dude, your mom on Instagram. She's active on social media. And you saying women's pH balance is off.
Mm-hmm.
Like my mom would whoop my if she ain't even tech like that. My mom was old school from the country. And but if she was to get wind of her 40-something-year-old son talking about women's women's vagina off in the States, oh, she'd be on the first thing to put a pistol to my head like, nigga, I done taught you better than this.
Your mom's not techie, but she's country. You're gonna get a country whipping.
Yes. But there's a lot of levels to this, man. There's a lot of levels to it. Can you stop it? Nothing but nature can kind of stop. Like some of these dudes can, like in the situation of Austin. Austin pushed,
Darwinism.
he pushed it,
Darwinism.
he pushed it so
Darwinism.
much to where it got to that point. So you hope some people learn from this and stop it and move accordingly, because like sex tourism has been going, like the underbelly of Brazil is sex tourism.
Yes.
The, but this is the hypocritical part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm telling you, the underbelly, probably the second largest economy is sex tourism in Brazil.
Oh, it sure is.
But
I just cut you off real quick because I just met a guy, 3 weeks ago, from Rio Grande do Norte, which is a state all the way in the north of Brazil, by the name Rio Grande do Norte. And there's a city there called Natal, which is he's from that area. And I asked him straight up because I was like, man, I hear so much about Natal being like a hotbed of prostitution and sex tourism. He's like, yeah, it's very open. You're out on the beach, and it's like, and it's even underage girls. It's not even adult women, and it's just open. And there were a lot of conversations about with the last president, and I think he had this weird comment that he made in his real poor area that people didn't take kindly to. So you're totally right, and that's what I was telling Pete before we came on, is that what is that, what's the dividing line also between sex tourism, which has been something that's gone on since forever, not just in Brazil, Thailand, any kind of developing nation, and the passport bros. They seem to come with a different energy, though. The passport bros. I think what I take umbrage at with the passport bros, which is different than sex tourism, not saying that one is better than the other, is that what you just said. It's an attack on American women, American black women specifically, where they say these women are off, but then women from the U.S., their defense is like, well, you guys are off, because we're out here getting an education, we're out here being independent, we're out here getting our shit straight, and you guys are just not interesting for us, and they end up usually, dating a
yeah,
white
that's
guy
the gender
instead.
war, and that's the
Yes,
gender war that I spoke of.
yes.
But the part where I wanted to make clear was that like Stephanie Ribeiro, like
Hmm.
she is like the epic feminist liberation, free sexuality towards women, embrace your body, do whatever you want to do. But the way feminist women work, they be damned if, excuse my French, if a guy pushes that for her. Let her push her own stuff, but don't let, and what Austin did was push their movement. They don't want a man pushing their movement. And I think, because if it was a female, I don't think it would be the same. If it was an American female, I don't think it would be the same thing. Not that an American female would do that, but the fact that Austin, a black male, is doing that, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
That's just in my opinion.
No, I got you. And right at the start, you said something that I thought was very interesting, and it's one of the reasons I do the podcast is learn a little bit about the culture. And I think in the streams of comments on the video where the women were calling him out, I think the one takeaway, I didn't read all of them, there's like thousands of comments, but a few people said, hey, it's like stepping into somebody's house. Like if I invite you to my house or if I go to your house, I'm not just going to put my feet up on the couch and act like I'm in my bedroom. You know,
Hmm.
it's like you're in somebody else's house. You've got to act accordingly. And what Pete said too, and definitely don't put it online if you are choosing to not act accordingly, because, well, it is toxic behavior, but it's going to be extra toxic because it's going to be broadcast. It's going to, when stuff's online, it's extra, so for a lot of these young dudes that are coming down here for that, yeah, just you can't put your shit out there. But at the same time, learn about the country, learn about the culture, which is what I appreciate when I watch your stuff. You're not just showing beautiful women. Are there beautiful women on your channel? Yes, gorgeous women. But that's not the focus of your channel. The focus of your channel is like, look at this beautiful beach, look at this beautiful hotel, look at this beautiful forest and this street and this and that. It's the culture as a whole. I'm gonna give a shout out to Regine, Bridging the Gap, because she made a Instagram post about
Yeah.
that, because people were asking her, is she a passport cis? And has she slept with Brazilian guys? And she's like, yeah, of course I have. I've dated a Brazilian guy. It's just that my main impulse for coming to Brazil is not to go after some Brazilian dick. It's to learn about the culture, to bridge the gap, because she works with dance. So, uh, bridging the gap, the dance cultural gap between all the diaspora, on this side of the world. And I think that's where it gets shady. That's where it gets kind of toxic, because I see some of these dudes that are coming here for that purpose alone. I can't hit it, I can't get it going on with women back home. I'm gonna go try over here, but I'm gonna try in kind of a slimy way, which is, showing
Mhm.
I got the money, I got this, I got that, which may not even be a lot, but for a woman down here, it'll be a lot. So
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
no, go
cut you
ahead,
off.
go ahead.
Well, the difference between me and, let's say, a guy like Austin. I My content is to shed light and exposure on that country. Like, if I keep in mind on how the people will see the people, the country that I'm in, the people that I'm recording, and the people who more than likely will see that content in that country.
Hmm.
How will they portray it? I think more outward like that. I think outward towards the country. But
And
you
that's
have
how it
some,
should be. I think that that's how it should be.
right, but you have some YouTubers who think how I look back in the States.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
That's,
saying? Like, regardless if I'm in that country, how do I look back into the States, which is what you would say a backwards.
ass backwards. Don't say
Right.
bad words. Although I think YouTube uh, kind of frowns upon bad words, but I don't give a
Yeah, I
shit.
ain't. I don't know if you monetize or whatever. I ain't want to get you all that in that aspect. But
Uh,
anyway,
no,
yeah, that's
that's a great point, though. That's a great point that you make. It's like they're not shining a light on Brazil. You're not learning much about Brazil. You're learning about Austin, and Austin looks cool because look, he's surrounded by 10 gorgeous women who are gonna kiss him if he just asks them for a kiss. So he's gonna look cool for his homies up in Texas. That's,
yes.
like you said, it's ass backwards. That's not the reason to travel, to like look good back home. It's to show, hey, this is a different, this is new. Look at this place. It's nice. It's bad. It's whatever. So that's a great point. Um, but all that being said, when you are here, what is your approach when you are with women? Act natural. Like what would you say? Advice for young men who are traveling to a different country and do want to meet women, which I think is totally natural and fine, to not go into toxic mode. And let's cut like social media. Imagine these guys are not even on social media. They just, they got a mindset. They're coming down here. They're not posting anything. But what would you give as advice to these young men to act a little better, to not be ass backwards, let's say?
Well, I want to say I think you can't really take social media out of it.
Mm.
Because you remember, I remember when I was maybe about 20 something. I remember when guys used to come and go to Brazil and they bring back Polaroids and stuff like that.
Oh boy.
Like yeah, like,
Old
in
school.
a photo book. This like, I mean, what camera phone technology, camera phones have probably just gotten better in the past 10 years, really.
Oh yeah, no. When I first came to Brazil, I actually had a digital camera because the camera phone was useless. It was like a potato, taking photos of potatoes. That was 2010. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I want to say this has perpetuated this behavior because everybody want to be seen.
Mm.
Everybody wants to be like I got to show, even if I just have an Instagram page, I want to show 10, 15 different women around me for the whole trip.
Hmm.
Because just think about when you used to travel. Because I'm like, that's what I'm thinking about old school. When I was really traveling, I just had like a little photo book, or I put it in my yearbook for college or for high school, and that was it. Like, and the fantasy was over with. Because I don't know where that photo book is no more to show to people, but I can always pull up my phone and be, "Hey, man, look at this bad man here, boy. Look at it." You know. So even if you don't have an Instagram, people want to people want to pull that phone out, and it's like I got to have something to show my to show my trophies, you know, and
Yeah.
so I just don't. There's such a thirst to be popular, to be in control of the girls, as I would say all the time. Everybody want to
Mm.
be in control of the girls, because I do you say, hey, change your ego, or because it's a lot of guys. This is a lot of this is the time for a lot of guys who never had luck in the States, and
Hmm.
that's a lot because of the dynamics of, let's say, okay, I look at how much I make as an IT business analyst, and I work contract, so it's like 6 months off, 6 months on, but I make a good penny. A lot of brothers don't make that. So the women here, they want you to make more than them. But by how the society is, most of the black women here are going to have a lot of the good jobs. So you're fighting society, but then you got this one guy that said, "Get your passport, brother," and you
Hmm.
like, "Oh shoot, you got beautiful women." It's like, "Oh man, the exchange rate is what?" Ooh, yeah, I'm on the next thing. I'm on the next thing flying out of there,
Hmm.
and they gonna max out credit cards. They gonna do some a firm loan flights. They're gonna be putting payments on them flights, and they getting on over there, man. There's so much at their tip to take advantage of to get to these countries now. you know, Flight deals. You got points on credit cards. You got, like I said, you can make the payment. So it's a lot of guys that's like, I just need to get to these beautiful women because we in the States we are very sexually deprived men here. Like because it's like it's the women have a lot of money because the OnlyFans of corporate America. There's nothing for the brother out here to really make no money other than scamming, and dudes tired of going to jail for scamming,
Hmm.
and all the women like the dudes with the money. You know what I'm saying? So it's how to stop it. I do not. I think it just will stop itself as time does with most things.
Well, I think it will stop. I mean, it's been going on for a while, but this got a lot of press, this recent incident. But I think it's going to stop, um, mostly through the women. You said you hung out with Rebecca and everything, and I noticed since I've been here for more than 10 years, how these black movements, women empower movements have grown, and women have kind of realized, hey, I don't need to be subservient to a man. So,
Mhm.
I mean, there's still a big swath of this country that's very third world, and where, yes, these women will throw themselves at anybody that's got cash. But if you go to a city like Sao Paulo, Rio, that's a bit more metropolitan. Is that right?
Right.
A bit more
Metropolitan.
wealthy. Um, y- you're not gonna find those women as much. You know, it seems like women just got in their head like we got to take care of ourselves because the dudes ain't doing it. Um, so yeah, I think it's gonna stop through that. You know, I mean, I totally get you with the culture war, gender war, and everything, but also at some point, I think women in the U.S. just realized, hey, I got a college degree, and this guy is, you know, he's got his GED. You know that doesn't equate. That equation just doesn't fit. So even beyond all the extra stuff, which is there, which Pete and I talk about sometimes. I'm not a big fan of the extreme on either side, left or right. It can get annoying, but I think majority of people are kind of in the middle, and these folks that are in the middle, they're these women that are in the middle, they still have the same feeling of like, hey, I'm getting my shit done and I'm in college. Black women, you know, make up a big number of the college
Graduates. Yeah.
graduates. And then you get black men; they make up a big chunk of the prison population.
Right.
So it's not equal there, and there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. In the U.S., some say it's planned, but it's the reality.
Right.
So they're just not down with it. I mean, I know brothers get upset when they see, oh, there's Serena Williams with a white dude. Who the fuck is Serena Williams gonna be dating? Who's on her level? That's like a black dude. So I get it. Um, but in Brazil, it's still the women are still not there yet in Brazil. So there's an opportunity still for not just black men, white guys too, whatever race, to come down here and um, be exploitative. What's up, Craig? By the way, I love Craig. Good evening. Excellent topic. If you want to jump in,
Well,
Craig. Craig's married. Actually, I would love Craig if you want to jump in. If you look in the comment section right before you, there's the link there. I'll send it again. And I would love your perspective on this too, as somebody that's married to a Brazilian woman. Uh, and sorry, Adrian, real quick. I just want to give a shout out to Justin Brown, who I met down here in Sao Paulo, and he's one of those Travelmatic where you said, "Oh, you know Phil," and people are saying, "Oh, you know Travelmatic," and this guy apparently is a fan of the podcast, and I met him down here, real nice guy from Canada. Um, but shout outs out of the way. Oh, I got my soul sister, Elisa. Travelmatic. If you ever go to Bahia, if you haven't met Elisa, if you have never seen her sing, go see Elisa. She's not in Brazil right now, but she is everything. She's everything that's good. Tudo
all
de
right.
bom, like they say in Portuguese. Tudo de bom. Um, but yeah, guys, if anybody wants to jump in, give their perspective, especially women, I would love to hear. Lisa, if you want to jump in for 5 minutes, say something. I would love to hear from a woman's perspective this whole travel bro situation. So, guys, that just hopped in, we're talking to Travelmatic. He's traveled a lot throughout Latin America, has come to Brazil a bunch of times. We still got to meet, by the way. So next time you're down, give me just a
Yeah.
couple weeks. Let me know a couple weeks in advance because my schedule is really nutty. And we're just discussing healthy ways to travel versus toxic ways to travel, and how to avoid being a passport bro. I think Adrian, hit the nail on the head. I don't know if you can stop it, but it's still nice if we can give, if this goes out to any young men who just rethink, your reasons for traveling. And Adrian said something very interesting, which is a lot of these guys will travel and they will shine a light on themselves, so they can show their homies back in the States, look, I'm around 10 beautiful black women down here in Brazil, and they got beautiful butts, and they do. Um, Rather than, no, look, this is Brazil, this is Salvador, one of the blackest places on the planet outside of Africa.
Right.
This is
Right.
Sao Paulo, like one of the hugest, greatest, metropolises in the world. It's an amazing city. Rio, which I don't like, but hey, it's got its charm too. So I think that's where the dividing line is. It's what are your reasons for going out there in traveling? What is your end game? Um, Now, I had asked you though, and I don't remember if you answered, but when you're around, women down here and stuff like that, like what is your modus operandi, your mo?
Um, well, it's interesting. It varies by the country. Um, because my I stick out in Latin America. They say Latin America, I stick out. Um, so I would say some. I don't want to say like all Latina or Latin American women in Latin America are attracted to like tall, dark skinned guys, but I get like a lot of eyes. Like, I've actually had people in El Salvador and Guatemala like, can I take a picture with you?
Hmm.
Like, huh? Like, yeah. Like, well, she think I'm a celebrity or something. But they like in El Salvador, there's not a lot of. I'm this skin complexion of not a Tyrese, but I'm dark skinned, so it's
But we
not
can
a
see a
lot of.
picture up there. We can see a picture. We see that
Oh
you're
yeah.
a handsome young man.
Yeah.
We
So
see
actually,
you.
that picture was in Guatemala. Okay,
We see
so
you.
like, and I'm
Yeah.
6'2", 250. So they,
And single ladies and single. I'm just trying to,
single, ready to mangle.
yeah, I'm
But
trying to work it. I'm trying to work it.
so it's like, oh, can I take a picture? So it kind of comes easy that way. But then
Hmm.
like if I'm in Brazil, like it's some dudes bigger than me. In Brazil. I'm like, dude, that's a big dude. So I kind of blend in until I
Hmm.
start talking or something. And they like, oh, you American, And so in Brazil, um I don't know the best Portuguese. I'm more of a Espanol speaker, but I try to use, or I can understand some words in Portuguese. So I'll try to, bom dia and noche. What you say? Noche
Boa
bueno.
noite.
Boa noche. Yeah, and so once I get there, I kind of remember the little phrases and stuff, and just get like a little small conversation. And I've had like great experiences in Brazil, just at parties or like at a mall. Rebecca, when I was with her, man, I've probably got about 6 or 7 new cousins and best friends from being with Rebecca, because it was just so nostalgic to see people that look just like me but don't know a lick of English, you
Mhm.
know. And we both were in awe of each other, like, oh dang, he doesn't know any Portuguese. Like, no, I don't know nothing. So it's very nostalgic to see somebody that look just like you, like they could be your cousins. Like some of these people's looking like my cousins, and I couldn't really speak to them. And so it was that urge to kind of want to communicate to that person, that really helped me out. And again, I could probably name 10, 15 people from Sao Paulo to Salvador, um, from that one trip. So I think in itself, I'm an energy person. I'm more of a, not astrology or whatever, but like I believe good energy attracts good energy.
Mhm. Yeah, I
So
agree with that. You vibe with
um,
somebody.
yes, good vibes attract good vibes. So like when people meet me, they really like, oh, how do you like it here? And so I always meet a lot of great people along my path in these countries. So I've met some crazy ones too, but 90% of them are going to be nice people. Um, and I try to stay in contact with them. Um, and I never want to paint a picture as well too that I've never like paid for play as well either. I'm no saint either. But like the guys back in the day who had the Polaroid, they just took their little pictures, they put them in the
Mhm.
Polaroid book, and they just kept it like that. It was always whatever goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas until you want to share something with your little friends or whatever.
And,
But
and
Yeah.
what you said there, I mean, Pete and I, you know, we talk about all sorts of things here on the Brazil Expat Journal, and we're very open about the fact that we all fuck around. I fuck around like quite a bit, you know, and that's fine, you know. So for anybody that's listening to this, it's not we're trying not trying to say, you know, men need to come down here and be saints. It's what Adrian was just talking about. It's the vibe that you're putting out. It's like, are you here actually to enjoy the country? And okay, so there are some beautiful people here. I mean, good lord. I mean, when I got here, I've never seen as much ass in my life, and it's all beautiful ass. It's like, good lord, you know. And I, people that know me, Elisa, that knows me for a while, knows I'm an ass man. I love me some nice butts. But it's how are you approaching that ass that I think makes the difference. You know, is it in an exploitative manner? Is it, you know, I got the dollars in my pocket, you know, I got a
oh,
20 sticking out of my pocket, or is it
hmm
just actually meeting somebody and actually talking to somebody, actually, like you said, creating that family environment? You know, with Rebecca, I've met her family. It's like once you're in, you're family, you know, and I think that's such a beautiful thing about Brazilians. Let me just cut in real quick because we got a lot of comments here and I want to get people's thoughts. Elisa said, if I may speak for a chunk of women, we mostly would like a man who is at our level, and it's not entirely about money. We don't want to support a man, but we are open to building together. And I've heard that from other women where they're like, you know, it's like it's not just about does he have a better job than I do, especially if you face the facts like Adrian was saying that now, and you know, especially in the U.S., yeah, women are better off than men are. So if women just gave up, you know, if that was it, that was what defined, you know, am I going to be in a relationship? There would be like zero chance for black men to get in any black women. But I see relationships where the women make more than the man, and it's more about the man accepting that, willing to build, and willing to, you know, not let his ego get in the way. I'm not going to mention anybody's name, but I have a good friend out here in Sao Paulo who makes quite a bit of money. You know, she earns in U.S. dollar, and she's dating a Brazilian who, for a little while, you know, he had no job, and he was looking for jobs, and she's fine with it as long as he. Well, she wasn't fine for it. She actually broke up with him on New Year's after going out with me. Like she was talking to me about it, and then she decided to break up with him. But she gave him an ultimatum. She's like, "You got to find something to do. It's like it's got to be something. You know, I don't care if it's 1,000 reais per month, 2,000, but you got to do something." And man, that boy found a job fast. As soon as she said it's over, he found a job fast, and she's still with him, and she loves him, and it's working out. So it's not always about the money; it's the mentality that a man needs to come at a woman with that is going to attract her or not. And I mean, look at Oprah and Stedman. They're happy, right? It works. And then Lisa went on to say, we want partners who can meet us as equal on the mental, spiritual, and emotional levels too. And I from, you know, I have a lot of female friends, and they do say that a lot. She says, "Glad you're doing this one." Craig agrees with you that Guatemala and Peru are unique in that there are not that many black folks out there, so you do stand out. Oh, look at this confession corner. Craig says I was that guy back in the day. So Craig, what changed? You know, what made you mature? I guess if we want to use that word. And by the way, Lisa said she's back in Brazil, so blessings that you're back. Um, Let us know there in the comments, Craig, or if you want to hop on
he
real
said he
quick.
was what kind of guy? The guy
I
that
think
was
he was. I think he was the passport bro back in the day.
He was the
I
oh,
don't
passport,
know. I
bro.
don't know because
he
the
was a
thing.
little toxic back in the day.
Yeah, because it kind
Well,
of
he's
changed.
married now, so if it's back in the day, I'm guessing he's one of the good guys now.
No, yeah, no. Craig's a nice guy. I've met Craig before, and I met his wife before. Really nice couple. So, and they got a kid. So, uh, Polaroid man. He was a Polaroid man back in the day.
Oh,
I
okay.
took a few Polaroids. Yeah.
Oh man, you
Yeah,
guys are
man.
funny.
Get that disposable camera, get that thing printed out, boy.
Oh my God. Actually, guys, so weird that people, Adrian was talking about how you attract a lot of folks, mostly positive folks. I would agree. I attract more positive folks, but you attract the crazies too. And there was this guy, oh, well, I won't mention his name, but I can't remember his name. But he messaged me on Facebook from Philly, and he was like, "Man, do you know any whorehouses down in Brazil?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "So look, this is the deal. He wanted me to hook him up with some prostitutes down here who were willing to, make sex tapes, so that he could go back to the U.S. and sell them."
See,
And I was like, "Dude,
Jesus
I don't think it's gonna
Christ.
work." Like,
you know what too. One of Rebecca's friends posed that question to me. Um, she said, "Why do people like over sexualize us in Brazil? We had this stereotype of that we're very
mhm,
like hypersexuals over there, over here, or whatever when we was there." So I said,
mhm.
"Man, I can say I was a prisoner of it too. It was like you haven't reached the pinnacle of beautiful women until you've been to Brazil."
I
And
don't. Sorry
what
to
you say?
cut you off, man. Yeah, I don't think it's that. I think it's that if you look at portrayals of Brazil in North American and European media, it's
Right,
like twerking videos and Brazilian soap operas,
Yes.
big
right.
knockers showing, and they used to
Well,
have this variety show here called Banho de Gugu,
oh, boo
where
boo. Yes.
yeah, where like a man and a woman in like dental floss bathing suits would wrestle in a rubber tub of a soap over soap. The man and the woman had to fight for the bar of soap, but of
There
course
you go. It's on
they
the
weren't
screen there,
fighting.
guys.
They were,
Yeah, they're
yeah,
fighting in
they
a
were
little kiddie
wrestling.
pool.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
and I think it's like what we see out of Brazilian media in North America and Europe is already hypersexualized. So that's the image that we get. I mean, no knock on Brazilian
Oh,
women.
yeah.
Women are beautiful here, but I mean, there's beautiful women in a lot of other countries too. I think it
Right.
gets hypersexualized here because so much of the hypersexual media gets
But
exploited. That's
but
what people see.
Yeah.
but break this
Go
down
ahead.
for me though, because I think I've learned this from being on or listening to y'all show throughout the months and stuff. I see that let's say the left and the right government, right? Like the leftists, they like the Brazilian funk, the boom 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 type music, the ratchet type. Like they're okay with it, but the right is more like we condone. We don't like that kind of stuff. We're Catholic. Remember that we have standards, and the left is like, hey, Brazilian funk, twerk, 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 twerk. Is there a divide with that
I
in
go
Brazil?
to a favela sometime and see them getting down. You'll find some nice Catholic girls shaking their booty.
I agree, man. I think it's all for show. Like even Bolsonaro when he kept saying the phrase "imbrochável," like my dick doesn't get flaccid. It's all kind of like it depends on if they're for you or if they're against you. Uh, Conservatives will go to uh, they'll watch movies or look at women who are gorgeous in their bikinis and sexualize them just as much as the left. But well, do they fit my political agenda? Then it's okay. If they don't, then automatically it's not okay. So it's all bullshit. It's all it's all bullshit. Um, Left or right. But I remember, talking about, and I think that's an issue that Brazil has, in that I think a lot of Brazilians, younger Brazilians, are working against, uh, is what we export out of the country. Because I remember, even as a little gay boy in the '90s, I fleeced through a couple of Buttman magazines, when I was, coming to my own, and so it reached even me,
Yeah, well,
the
The Simpsons did
exploitation
it. The
of.
Simpsons did it.
Yeah, the Simpsons did it. So unfortunately, Brazil, what gets thrown to the world are soccer and carnival and buttman, or in all the variations thereof. So
Right.
it's understandable when young men look at that and they say, "Oh, this is like a sexual. It's like a living wet dream. It's like I'm gonna live my wet dream." And then you add to that social media now, where you do have these young brothers who are, like Adrian was saying, just posting all this stuff that they can show to their brothers back home. And all of a sudden it's like, wow, it's not just the Buttman magazine, it's not just a porn video, it's real. Look, he's out there getting all these girls and they're easy. So, Brazil
Mhm.
unfortunately did it to themselves. And I'm glad that there's a younger generation that's willing to recognize that and are doing their best to change that. Rebecca being one of these young people who are really doing their best to show, look, black women can travel by themselves around the world. Black women can write. Black women can make music. Black women can also be sexy and gorgeous and all that too. But we're doing more than just shaking our ass. And it's a little bit of a fight against that, I think. But it's recent. It's something, Brazil's a little behind, first world countries as far as a lot of this stuff. Uh, Real quick before you go on, Adrian, is Elisa said here, I would say the divide is more social economic than right or left.
Right.
That I agree with. Yeah.
Right. That's what I was about to talk about, which has me think like a lot of things are very similar to the U.S. and Brazil. Because I'm understand. I want to understand it this way. Are you saying that, let's say the favelas is just like, I'm in Atlanta, so Bankhead Highway, Bankhead Courts is the favelas
Mhm.
here. Most of them are going to vote left, Democratic. But you got Buckhead, which is predominantly white, $1 million homes. More of them going to be right Republicans. So in that social economic comparison, are you saying that the favela funk people, which is predominantly in the favelas, is more
Um,
left?
Not really. It breaks down differently down here. Yeah,
they're yeah,
because there's,
they're
trust me,
apolitical in the favelas, but they
very,
tend to
very.
vote left because they promise more for the poor.
Exactly.
Right.
But even then,
So they
Bolsonaro
it's a
would. Oh, go ahead, Pete. Sorry to cut you off.
poor area.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, just to conclude quickly, but you can go to some really high end nightclubs that these people could not get in a million years and see the same shit. So when we're talking like socioeconomic, it's you've got the low end and you've got the high end, and the low end is definitely going to tend to vote more left, but you'll find a lot of left voters in the high end as well. And you'll see them at nightclubs that favela people would never get in, and they're doing the same thing. So it's not a good idea to compare it to the way things are in America,
Yeah, you
because
can. It's
it's
because
completely
if
different
you
here.
if you look at even Bolsonaro won the last election by, he almost won it in the first round. He could not have gotten that many votes if it weren't people from poor areas that were voting for him too. And I mean, even in this last election with Lula, I mean, it's not like he got wiped out. I mean, he lost by what, 2 million votes or something. So yeah, and you can't get that many votes if you're not reaching black people, if you're not also reaching poor people, even gay women, whatever. So Brazilian politics is a different monster than American politics. It comes down to who is offering more because Brazil is very populous. So both Lula and Bolsonaro, they're like two sides of the same coin. They're populist presidents who know how to talk kind of like the regular people and are offering free this, free that, free the third, so
Yeah,
it doesn't have a
but
lot to do with that. It's way more complex down here
Ooh,
with left right.
okay.
And that's why I
Ooh.
said when you were saying, "Oh, dude, would a conservative be against, seeing naked women and blah blah blah?" Man, I mean, Carnival's huge. Catholics go to Carnival, Umbandistas go to Carnival, atheists go to Carnival. It's like it's not. It's everybody. It's just whatever. So it's what the country wants the world to see, though, that I think becomes the problem. And mostly what Brazil exports is a samba. It's carnival season. Actually, it's coming. We Pete and I might do our next BJ will be about some blocos, some places to enjoy carnival now that it's in full swing, and um,
750 this year.
and sex, sex, carnival, in football. That's what Brazil sells. Man, ask any random person in the streets when you go back to the U.S. if they know any other city other than Rio de Janeiro. They may say the Amazon. I mean, that's not a city, but they may mention the Amazon.
Right.
I remember I've
They
told
might
this
say
story a
Buenos
couple.
Aires. They might say
Yeah,
Buenos
they'll say
Aires.
Buenos Aires. Yeah, definitely. I grew up listening to that. I've told this on the podcast before because I went to the U.S. when I was 6, and I remember it was what, third or fourth grade when kids would ask me where I'm from because Captain Planet was popular. So there was a little boy, the heart kid was from
Right.
Brazil, and when I told them that I lived in a big apartment with like a modern regular apartment because before I went to the U.S. I was here in São Paulo, and they would look at me like I was from outer space. Like, what? You didn't live in a tree? And I was like, no, man. I've never been to the Amazon. In fact,
Go planet.
Yes. Oh, I used to be so pissed, man, because I get that in the end they would always try to make him feel better and say heart is actually the most important element. I'm like, no, it isn't, man. I want to tear shit down. Wind, fire. And you give the little Brazilian guy heart. Uh,
Go
joked.
planet.
I used to get joked on as a kid because of that fucking little Brazilian guy from Captain Planet. But so yeah, that's the image that we have, unfortunately, of Brazil. We're gonna try to start wrapping things up. Um, but a few issues that we talked about. One is what Brazil exports that gets a lot of these young men of all races, not just black. Like, oh, this is the place to go to get laid. But then, as Adrian said, there's a lot of these gender wars going on in the U.S. Some black men feel like they're being, treated as less than. They come down here, but what's the key? The key is what vibration are you bringing to the damn country? You're going to somebody else's house, people. Brazil is a huge country, and it's not an easy country to learn and to manage. I say this a lot in the podcast so people get an idea how big Brazil is. Like, take the U.S. and just like turn it on its side, north south. That's about how big Brazil is. So just like California ain't nothing like Oklahoma, and Oklahoma is nothing like New York, New York's nothing like Tennessee. So even that is different. Like, so if you come down to Brazil and you think, oh, I know what Brazil's like because I'm in Sao Paulo. Well, then you go to Salvador and you're like,
Mhm.
fuck this. Like, this is not, what the hell happened? So you got to come down here. You got to know about the country, respect the country most of all. Because if somebody came into my house and started putting their feet up on my bed without, unless we're going to do something nice on the bed, they'd be out of my house. I've kicked people out of my house before because of that. I've
Right.
told people that have knocked on my door without calling me first, go home. You know, like I don't play with that. Like you got to respect the space. Just like I'm going to respect your space, you respect mine. So don't come down here thinking it's a joke. because then you're going to be crying like Mr. Adrian, embarrassing yourself, embarrassing your mama, as Adrian pointed
Hey
out.
man,
You
got to have
know,
mama happy, man.
uh, that it's like respect the space, and yes, you can have fun. I've done a lot of crazy stuff down here, but but done it from a different vibration where everybody's having fun, consensual, and
Hmm.
blah blah blah. Not gonna say I've never been in like some whorehouses, but but for the most part, it's like I ain't blasting that on social media. Actually, in fact,
Right.
you didn't even hear me say that, you know. But it's like, yeah, that was like 10 years ago. I was a bit younger, a bit wilder, but um, got to learn about the place that you're going, regardless if it's Brazil, if it's Russia, if it's Japan. Not just for third world countries, but first world countries too. Um, and especially
Right.
Americans, man. Americans get a bad rap because of motherfuckers like this. Uh, because Americans always get that bad rap as like, regardless of where they travel, if it's Europe or if it's Latin America, Americans just come in like, you know,
And
I
and
rule the world.
and you
This
know
is
what too? I was talking to you just said regime about that same dynamic you mentioned. California is not like Oklahoma. Oklahoma is not like New York. And we were saying about him being in Salvador, like Salvador. Even when I had showed friends, because I went to the Afropunk Bahia. That's what I came down there to meet up with Rebecca for. And I was showing my friend a lot of just beautiful people, man, beautiful, and it wasn't even like no, no sexual thing. It's just like me in a crowd with beautiful, a bunch of beautiful brown girls there. One of my friends said, man, how much they going for over there, boy? I know you over there acting. I said, no, you can't do that here in Salvador. This is not the place to be doing that. You can go to Rio, you can go to Sao Paulo, but no, not Sao Paulo. I mean, not Salvador.
hmm
Salvador is not on that level. I mean, not to say that you can sex is everywhere in this world. I mean, you can go
yes,
to Europe, you can go to Asia, you can go to Africa. There's always gonna be some prostitution somewhere around there. But in Salvador, no, that's not what that's known for. So,
exactly, and especially not Salvador of the last 8-10 years. They've really. Oh, Karen, by the way, she said that she was at Afropunk Bahia too. And she also said that it was true in her textbooks they would have brown a brown skin child in a tree back in the 80s. Yes, no, I grew up in the 90s, but yes, it didn't change much from decade to decade. Uh, but yeah,
right,
you shouldn't be doing that anywhere, but
right.
especially not Salvador, especially not in the last, let's say in the last decade since I've been here. And it's so crazy being here in Brazil because one thing I used to always say when I came here is that like Brazil's like 50 years behind um, um, America as far as women's rights, gay rights, all the rights that you can think of, but
Hmm.
it's slowly catching up, and it kind of. I think it was a little bit impulsed with the Bolsonaro and all the stuff that happened with Dilma getting knocked out of power. Like it seemed like it got more fervent, and for better or worse, because there's parts of these movements that I'm not too keen with, but it's like it's a different animal now. You're not just gonna go up to a woman nowadays and just say any type of shit. Chances
Hmm.
are that black woman might even speak some English. Whereas 10 years ago she wouldn't know how to do it. So, and she might have a big brother, like Adrian was saying. Some of these guys are bigger than me. Down she might have a bigger older brother. That feminism will go out the window. She will call big bro on your ass. So you
Hmm.
really got to be careful. And I think the main thing for if this happens to reach any young brothers like this, I know I posted this video in a lot of places. I have this Facebook group that I'm in. I don't know how I'm in this group. It's like Afro Brazilian men and Afro Brazilian women. I'm never on there other than to post my BJ videos. And I don't know what the vibe is. I get a vibe that that's a very manosphere bro space in there. But if any of you guys on that page happen to click on this and you are on that level, it's not a good energy to be in, guys. I mean, you can still come to Brazil and have a wonderful time in Brazil, meet some beautiful people in Brazil, and again, regardless of your sexual preference, you're gonna meet some beautiful, wonderful people. You might even get married in Brazil, and I know a bunch of people that are married to Brazilians, both men and women. Um, but you know, respect the house pretty much. That's pretty much it. It's like if somebody came into your hood in the US, like walking around like this was their block, they get shot on the spot. I mean, I,
Yeah.
I I grew up in Jersey, but I was in Philly a lot. Man, when I went to visit friends in West Philly, Southwest Philly, I walked with my head down, humble as fuck, because I ain't trying to show off in that place. Because those motherfuckers will shoot you. They're not gonna, there's no conversation. Like here, people like to yell fight more than actually fight. So it's like respect the house. By the way, Eagles in the Super Bowl, as I mentioned at
Yes,
the
sir.
beginning. But guys, we're gonna try to wrap this up because it's getting late. Pete's back. Thank you, Pete, for coming back. Ew, my computer is not charging too, so my battery's about to die. So let me fix my battery here. And I'm gonna play a little music that Pete knows. Here it is.
Oh, I knew it was coming up. Man, I
All
hope I can answer all
right.
these questions, man. I hope I can answer all these questions.
All right, it's the expat challenge, guys. It's the moment of the show where we test our guests' knowledge, and if they fail, well, they get kicked out of Brazil. Like we will. I got contacts, Adrian. You will never be
You
coming
gonna
back to
do
this
it?
country.
Oh, don't
I
put
will
Stephanie
sick.
on me, man. You gonna put
I
Stephanie
will
on
sick. Yes, I will sick all the angry Brazilian women who are mad at our brother there. What's his name? Austin. I'll give him all your info. Um, so I will start. And then, Pete, I think you got the questions there on your Facebook Messenger. So I'm going to start, though, with what's the best thing about Brazil?
Oh, um,
All right.
let me see the culture. I'm gonna go culture for 100.
Culture for 100. What about the culture?
Well, it's in specifically the black culture. Um, Brazil, other than Colombia, in South America has some of the strong. That's a strong signal. I meant to say feedback or something.
What up?
Uh, you hear the feedback, or is that me?
I don't know. I hear a little bit of it. It
Okay,
must be Pete's computer,
there you
but it,
go.
it went away.
It went
It went
away.
away.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. The it's back again. The Afrocentric culture, especially in like Salvador, it is it's speechless. It leaves me speechless sometimes just being there, looking at the women of Candomblé, walking around in the white and like you get a little bit of Africa, you get a little bit of Brazil, you just get a whole hodgepodge of stuff, and I just enjoy that so much. Um, so yeah.
I got you. Pete. There you go. He's back. There you go. Okay, Pete, it's on you. If he's there. I think we're getting some issues with Pete. With Pete's mic.
All right. So, what is the worst thing about Brazil?
Worst thing about Brazil.
Man, that is all Portuguese, and that I'm
Yeah. What is the
more.
worst thing about Brazil?
I was saying that the fact that it's the only Portuguese, y'all the only Portuguese speaking country in 100% uh Spanish speaking continent.
Yes, blame the Pope. That Treaty of Tordesillas, whatever, however you pronounce that. Yes.
Okay, I'm like, man, like I'm barely getting this Spanish down, and I have such a fascination for Brazil, man. It's speechless. It leaves me speechless sometimes as well. With just the country itself. It's one of my countries to relocate in the future. It's one of my top three.
Cool, cool. And what's your favorite Brazilian food?
Ooh, moqueca,
Oh yeah.
seafood moqueca, shrimp moqueca
Yeah, moqueca
specifically.
always wins, man. Moqueca's so damn good. I was just in Espírito Santos and I had a moqueca there that was so fucking delicious. There's a battle between Bahia or Espírito Santo. Who makes the best moqueca? They're both good. Try them both. Uh, if you don't happen to be in those states, then you find yourself a big old Bahian, big old kind of looks like she knows how to eat Bahian lady to make a muqueca. You can't go wrong, And if she charges you 100 reais for it, whatever, just pay it. And she's
Oh
got
yeah,
muqueca.
yes.
It's so good. It's so good.
Well, you know,
Go ahead.
even
Go ahead, Peter.
even oh, go ahead. You, no, I was going to say quickly that I love it's probably 1A 1B is the barbecue, the churrasco, because
Churrasco.
of
Churrasco.
churrasco. Because here in the States, I could pay easily $50 to $60 for one here.
Mm-hmm.
With the conversion rate, I'm eating that Fogo de Chao for like $30. You know, um,
Yeah, the churrasco
or
there is
one of the
great.
smaller ones. You know, just oh
For even less, yeah. You can find some good
yeah.
churrascarias for even less. There's a muqueca there on the screen, guys. And then a churrascaria, for those that don't know, is a steakhouse. It's a Brazilian steakhouse, and they come around and they keep feeding you food all night. You get a little flag there, the green flag or the red flag. When you've had enough, just put the red flag up. Yeah, so Brazilian steakhouses are popular. Pete's getting knocked off a little bit. His internet's kind of screwy at the moment. Oh, I wasn't sharing my screen. There it is. There's the churrascaria and there's the muqueca. But what's your least favorite Brazilian food?
Is it called a carajé?
Oh my
Or
God, acarajé. How
with the with the with the
ironic.
with the shrimp with the sh-
Yeah,
with
how
the shrimp on it?
serendipitous. Mm-hmm.
With the shrimp with the shell on it?
Yeah, that's it.
Nah, I can't do it, man. I can't do it.
How
I can't do.
serendipitous that you say this because I just posted on my Instagram here. I have an Instagram called the Brazil Expat Journal. So if you want to join me there, look at this, guys. I just had my very first acarajé, and
Oh, that's what you had the other day. Okay, I remember
yeah,
seeing that on your story on your actual page, Phil page, and I
yes, I
didn't.
got two Instagrams there, and I was trying it for the first time, and I'm sorry, it's like I tried, but in the end, I ended up giving the rest to my friend. It's just like it's a very sameness in the taste. Like it felt like it got tiresome to eat it after a while.
Yes,
Um,
it's work because I be trying to get the shell off the shrimp because I'm like, are you serious? You want me to eat the shell too? Like they be eating the shell, and I'm like, I feel like they're gonna mess up my insides or something.
yeah, it was kind of rough. It was kind of rough. I did not enjoy the. Oh, there's Pete. He's back. He's got some spyware issues. He said. There you go. So yeah, I'm with you on the acarajé. I was not a fan, but I wasn't enough of not a fan where I wouldn't be willing to try it again. Like maybe if I ever go to Bahia, uh, because eating
It,
Bahian food in São Paulo is sometimes suspect. So I'll give acarajé the benefit of the doubt. I'll try it again, but it wasn't really my cup of tea. Well, Pete's back, but I'm gonna just run through the next question, Pete, which is what is your favorite drink in Brazil? It can be alcoholic or non-alcoholic.
oh, my favorite drink by far is the caipirinha,
Oh yeah, everybody loves the caipirinha, right?
a classic, classic. No,
Caipirinha,
no different fruits or anything like that. Just a classic caipirinha.
classic drink. I just found a drink which I am falling in love with. It may take over, which is the jambu. Jambu. I don't know how to spell jambu. Jambu sour. There it is. Man, this jambu is this fruit that you get. I think it's up in the Amazon or something. It kind of makes your mouth a little bit numb. Um and it's mixed with a little bit of cachaça, a little bit of the jambu. You got a little bit of lime juice. You put a little bit of sugar extract or whatever. Man,
Hmm.
that shit is good.
It's fire, huh?
And it makes your mouth tingle, because of the fruit. Delicious. Brian, my man Brian, my ayahuasca man. It's a majority Spanish speaking continent. Suriname, Guyana, Curacao, and a few more tiny northern South African countries don't have Spanish or Portuguese as official languages. South American countries don't have Spanish. Yeah, no, there are other countries here that also don't have Spanish. Basically, it's just the Pope just divided the country because Portugal and Spain were fighting over territory, and it's called the Treaty of Tordesillas. I can never pronounce it right. And then phew, he just split the country in half and said, west of this line it's Spain, east of this line it's Portugal. So Brazil ended up on this side of that dividing line, and boom, it is what it is. Craig, next time you come to São Paulo, I'll take you to a place that makes nice jambu sours. Little place in Pinheiros. Delicious. Delicious. The jambu sour. But let's move on. Pete, are you good? Can you do the next question? I don't know how your connection is.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh yeah, your connection's fine.
Yeah.
Pick one, question six.
What's the best place you visited in Brazil?
Oh, you're in and out. Best place you visited in Brazil, in case you didn't catch that. Best place you have visited in Brazil.
Um,
Yes. It would
well,
be
just to
what's the best place you visited
keep trying to fight
in
through it, huh?
Brazil?
I know he's on a delay there, but okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Um, I think I had told y'all before when I was in Salvador the first time. I did enjoy Dos Frages and Itapaquio. It's in that Bay of Saints.
What?
Uh, Dos
Itapachi.
Dos.
Itapasi?
It's close to Dos Frages. Frades.
F-O-R?
Frades. Frades.
F-R-A-E-E-S. Frades.
Yes, Dos Frages. DOS on two words. Dos Frages.
Ah, dois, like two. Two frades. Okay. Well, I got coffee.
No,
But yes.
DOS. DOS.
Ah,
There
this
you go.
place. Ilha dos Frades. Ah, wow. Ooh, that's paradisic. Ilha dos Frades. This is in Bahia. Yeah, look at that. Mm. Man, Brazil's got some beautiful places, man. Good lord. It's understandable why people fall in love. Go ahead, Peter. Oh, no, it's me. Sorry. Most overrated location or thing in Brazil.
Copacabana.
I love it when people say anything in Rio is overrated because I'm not a fan. But there's Copacabana, guys. I mean, you can have fun in Copacabana, but there's nicer places. It looks nice in pictures, but when you see it up close, you're like, eh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My friend
a lot of filters there.
um Regine was telling me about the north side, and I went to the north side of Rio, which is more of the blacker side, more Afro side.
Yes.
It definitely enjoyed that. Was able to go to some samba schools.
Yes, no,
Mm.
Regine knows everything. Regine's been on the show before, and yeah, people have told me North Side is a little bit better, and even the West Side, near Baja, Recreio. A friend of mine that was down here last week, he lives in Ilha de Godoy or something like that, little island next to Baja,
That was
mini
yeah.
paradise. So there's nicer places in the South Zone. I think South Zone is for starters. You got to hit the South Zone if it's your first time to see the two brothers mountains, see Ipanema Beach from Girl from Ipanema, the Sugarloaf, all the touristy shit is there. But then I guess you got to explore further out. Go ahead, Pete, if he's there. He's on a delay. I'm gonna go ahead. Best place to chill in your city. Well, what city is your city when you come to Brazil? Where do you hang out the most?
Well, what I've enjoyed the most. Mm, mm. I like Salvador. I like. I'm a real culture freak, so I like when I was in Pelourinho, um, just walking those cobblestone streets and
You were in
um,
Elisa territory.
Yeah. The best place. This is difficult. You don't live here.
Pete's on a mega delay. you're getting this. You're getting this question again. But Elisa, who was on tonight, she lives in Pelourinho, if I'm not mistaken, and it looks like a really sweet little spot to be at.
okay,
Pelourinho, yes, classic
yes,
style.
they got some nice black-owned establishments in there, and it's real laid back. You know, kind of got the hills, and I just like those untouched places.
I'm
You
with
know.
you. Let's knock off the last two questions here. Favorite Brazilian musician or band?
Oh, okay, okay. They, because I went to Afro Punk Bahia, um, they like okay, so like day two, it was like Saturday and Sunday. Day two, well, day one it rained a little bit. Day two, it rained like on the back end of that festival, and it's all at night. So it started like eight, like around 10 to like 12. It was raining hard, and it was like, "You got to see this girl. You got." And I'm like, and they, so we was in the VIP area where it was covered, but they wanted to go out in the, closer to the stage, which wasn't covered. And I'm like, man, they want me to see this girl so much. Like, what is up with her? Like this girl, and they're like, she's like our Beyonce,
Uh oh,
and I'm like,
teasing.
okay, okay, and I'm like, it's raining. And nobody cared that it was raining because they was coming to see Lumania, Luma, what's her name?
Ludmilla.
Lujamila, yeah, whatever that.
I don't know how to spell her name. Ludmilla.
Yes, and I'm talking about they
I've
were.
seen her before. I've seen her before. Yeah, she's awesome. She gives a hell of a show.
Oh, she put on. She put on for that show. She did put on. She's in a mix between like I would say like a Meg Thee Stallion and a Beyonce, if you kind
Mm-hmm.
of would blend them together.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, I just loved her energy. I loved her energy on the great stage performance, stage presence, choreography. Yeah, I went ahead and started following her on Instagram because she was really that dope.
Nah, yeah, she's too much. I've seen her before. There he is, Ludmilla at Afro Punk. I saw her here in São Paulo, and I had never even heard of her that much, and I was like, "Good lord, she came with it." And then last question, uh, a word of advice for future visitors to the country. We gave a lot of advice to the to the passport bros, but like, what's general advice that you give to anybody wanting to visit Brazil?
Um, the three elements: language, culture, and environment. Learn those three things. Um, Before you go, learn the culture to be able to have great conversation, um, or to get your ass out of trouble. Um, if you in the police presence, or if you getting stuck up by a dude on a moto. Um,
Yes.
Culture, just learning how what to do and what not to do can save you as well because it can be kind of insulting to some people because they don't do certain things like that in their country. Um, Environment, um, just know like even in the rainy season, like I had to learn that myself. Like take time to research where you're going. Cause like I said, I went to El Salvador and Guatemala and it was like rainy season. So it rained every day. Every day it rained. And I
Yeah.
was like, I'm never coming back to these countries. But that was my doing, because I should have known that it was rainy season. So
For sure. I mean, that's great advice because even something simple like here in Sao Paulo, for example, you learn that in the summer months, like it's hot as hell right now, and it's almost midnight. It's really hot, but it rains in the afternoon, like it's monsoon season for about an hour or two, almost every day. Today it didn't, amazingly, but like the last 3 or 4 days, that's the rhythm. Like it's hot as hell, and then 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the sky falls down. Lightning
wow.
storms, trees fall over. Actually, a tree fell over last year right in front of my house. It was insane with a windstorm. And then it'll be like sunshine and rainbows after. It's like insane. So even simple things like that. That's why we got the podcast, guys. And soon, very soon, we'll have the book. I'm writing the book as we speak.
Awesome.
So we'll get that out. Peter got knocked out. Um, his computer unfortunately is dying. Um, in on behalf of Pete, we say thank you for listening to the Brazil Expat Journal. Where the hell is my? Oh, this is what I want to do right here. Uh, there you go. Adrian was on, aka Travelmadeic. He's got his. Let me get your Instagram back up here. There's Travelmadeic right there on Instagram. He's got this app fan base thing that I clicked on today. I never had heard of this. I never bothered to click on that, but I guess this gives you like I don't know what this fan base.
Well, fan base is another like Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, it's a black owner.
Oh, nice.
You ever heard of Isaac Hayes, the
Yeah, of
singer?
course. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
his son Isaac Hayes the third created um, this platform
Oh,
um, to combat with the craziness of Instagram sometimes and Facebook. You can actually, I mean, it's the same kind of user interface, but you can monetize a lot of your content,
oh, nice.
yourself, and
And we got
yeah. So,
Travelmatic here also on YouTube, and you can see all his videos there. Not just in Brazil, but all over the place. Um, and you got there right there. Okay, so you can follow
yeah, so this
him.
came from Puerto Rico, actually. I went to an event called San Se, which is the San Sebastian Festival, um, about a week ago.
Nice.
So,
I'll link all of these in the comments, in like the regular comments. But if anybody's here on the live stream, they can click on these links. And by the way, thank you everybody that joined in the conversation. I love it when we get some people in here
yeah,
conversing.
so
And
come over and join us. I also talk about
yes,
remote work as well, working remotely. Um, I've talked about the Brazilian remote um, work visa as well, which is not really a visa, but it's something different.
there's something different helps you get down here. Um, so, folks, that's it. I'm going to play me some outro music. I want to thank everybody that listened, everybody that will listen later on. I always forget to say at the beginning, like and subscribe. So I'm saying it at the end. And we got some outro music, man. You get to listen to a little outro music. And I get to say thank you for listening to the Brazil Expat Journal, the BJ you can trust. And we will be back soon. Hopefully, I know we're kind of erratic as far as coming on. It's just I've been really busy, and Pete's been really busy. So we do our best to come on at least once a month. The goal is twice a month, but that doesn't always happen. But hey, Carnival's coming, so we'll definitely be talking Carnival, probably the next BJ that you hear. So thank you, everybody, Craig, Elisa, everybody that popped in, and even Karen, new listener there. Thank you for popping in. Love you guys, and thank you, Mr. Travelmatic, for finally being a guest of the
Pleasure,
show.
man. Yes, yes. And we're gonna meet up next time I'm there for sure.
For sure. All right, see
All
you
right.
guys. Have a good night.
Appreciate it, brother. All right, take care, man.
Stay on, stay on.